live sort of situations that happen in our organisation. So let's say we run off a term-based swimming program or blocks, 4 blocks a year, quarters, sort of thing, school teams. So let's say if I've redone the roster at the start of the term and that teacher happens to be teaching into level B or whatever you want to call it, I can then assign all the level B material to that person to be done before the start of the term. So I know they've had a bit of a refresher on that level. They might not have done it for a while, or they might be new to it, that kind of thing. And, they might get assigned 3 different levels across the whole week, or depending on how they're rostered on. And I know that they have to complete that material. So from my peace of mind, they've either had a bit of a refresher on it because it might have been a while. They get development points as well as they go through that line of things.
100%, and I'll show you, and it's a very interesting point, I'll show you how we map and track that. So in this system, as I was mentioning before, the modules are online training, the competencies are tracking all the different elements that you want to track against the user, resources or any documentation, policies, procedures, manuals, whatever you need, events or any live events. They're all sort of the elements within inside the system. But then you can create courses for your different levels of your teachers. And what that course does, it's just a container that then you can put a mixture of those different elements in. And that course you can then assign to your staff, and they can be renewing those training elements within inside of there every 3 months or every 4 months or every 6 or 12 months, whatever you want to set the reoccurrence on those elements to be.
So like a course might be a specific level, let's say, for a normal swim teacher, and I assign that course or that level to that person and they're teaching it, or that I think they need to do some work on it. A person who maybe opens the facility, might be forgetting to do something each morning or whatever it might be. So I might assign to them their opening procedures manual or something again, or
that's correct. That's correct. And you don't have to do it just to the individual user. So what we have in the system is these things called groups, and we set up in here for worldwide swim school purposes. They're the groups that you'd have seen in the library. That's how we allocated access for any teacher that's put into the Learn to Swim group is gaining access in the library to the Learn to Swim category in this program. So that one there. So you would create your own groups for your own business, and it might be for admin, it could be for whatever levels you want them to be. It might be maintenance staff, could be lifeguards, or all the different levels. So when you then add people into that group, you assign that course to the group so that then they get everything attached to them that's being part of that group. So you can manage it rather than individually. You can do that, add all these things to each individual user as well, but you can also manage it on a group level. So you start to build your corporate structure and your organisation structure, and then have all those processes happening on a mass sense, rather than you having to individually look at every single person and work out what you've got to do for them.
Okay.
Sound like
so that's the group, that's the courses. So what's the competencies? I'm just trying to figure out how that's different to like a course.
Competencies is where you're tracking, say, a first aid certificate for each user, and in your groups, all of your staff might have to have first aid certificates up to date. Yeah. And so you can actually assign
type things,
you can assign a competency to a group that is all staff, that they must do their first aid and keep it up to date every 3 years. Get that?
Okay,
That can be a group that is all called all staff, and so everybody has to do that. Might be the case.
And same with the positive notice blue card. That's all staff. They're working with children checks. That's all staff. First aid, CPR, they're all staff. But then you might have a course that's to do with your pool lifeguards. So there might be different qualifications to do with lifeguarding, and there might be different training elements for them. Well, then you put them into a course and you create a group called pool lifeguard. So when a person's coming into your business and they need to be inducted as a pool lifeguard, well, you'd give them the all-staff, you'd allocate them to the all-staff group and to the lifeguard group, and then add those courses to them. And then that means you've now given them everything that they need, and you're now tracking everything that you need to for people in those positions.
Okay. Yep.
And that's,
resources.
Yep. The resources are basic.